Renee. Welcome.
I was delivering to the last minute. Sorry, I had like snacks.
Don't worry. Zoom etiquette, we're still allowed to say hello and welcome.
That's true. Hi, everyone. Very exciting. Awesome job.
Made it home in one piece. That's great. Hey, Ian. I realized I forgot the wine in the glass.
So hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our virtual soiree. My name is Sandy Scalani. I am the Executive Director of Mindful Kids Miami, and thank you so much for joining us. We have a fantastic program tonight. We've done our best to break out of the two-dimensional Zoom screen world and create an engaging multi-sensory experience for you. Over the next 90 minutes, you will be invited to bring awareness to breath, sound, touch, and taste, and simply notice what comes up for you as we move through our program. A little note about the program. We would love to see your presence in the room with us and would encourage you to have your videos on if you would like to do that. But we're going to ask you to keep yourselves muted until the end of the program. At that point, when we have our wine tasting, which will be towards the end of the program, you'll be invited to unmute and share that experience and interact. So also, I know several of you have received our wonderful gift bags. And I know the wine tasting is more towards the end, but feel free to bust the bottle open now if you want to sip on it. Just save some for the end though. Okay, don't run out by the time the wine tasting comes. Tonight wouldn't be possible without our generous sponsors, and so I'd like to acknowledge them: Martha Valdez Fowley and BNY Mellon Wealth Management, Icon Digital, South Miami Hospital, Olivier de Lavalette, Jill Rappaport Reese and Dr. Ian Reese, John Davies, and Sylvia Rojas. And a special thank you to Prosecco Zero, Lillian's Table, and Talbot Wines for our lovely wine and cheese gift bags. I also would like to take a minute to acknowledge our incredibly supportive board of directors, the philanthropy committee, and our dedicated and compassionate staff, volunteers, and instructors. They have truly brought ease to my transition to leading this organization during a global pandemic, as well as in planning this event. I truly appreciate you all. So at any time, you can see, please, in the corner of my screen, you will see a phone number to call, and you can donate at any time by texting the number, texting mindful to this number. As we spotlight my video. Before we start our show, I want to bring our attention to the reason why we do this work: the children. Our name is Mindful Kids Miami because our vision is to bring the benefits of mindfulness to all children. However, we do this by providing mindfulness training programs and workshops to both children and adults, and specifically teachers, social workers, and healthcare providers working with children. Our intention is to build a culture of mindfulness around the little humans that will be inheriting our earth. Imagine the world we could create if all children were exposed to mindfulness early and often and impacted by mindful adults around them. And with that, I would like to begin with what we call a short arrival practice led by our programs director, Doralee Banbanaste.
So we welcome everyone, and this is an opportunity for you to welcome yourself into this present moment. So in however way that you're situated, seeing if you might consciously choose to bring your attention to your body and sensing whatever it is you're feeling, and particularly sensations of contact or touch, perhaps the weight of the body, as if you're checking in with a very dear friend. How are you right now? Checking in with yourself. And whatever is here, which might be some pleasantness or unpleasantness or something in between, seeing if you might just allow for whatever is here to be here in sensation. And if you'd like, bringing your attention now to the heart. And becoming aware of any emotions, tones of emotions that are here in this moment for you. And again, seeing if you might just allow with open arms for whatever is here to be here. And now, only if it's appropriate for you, if you'd like, perhaps sending yourself or wishing yourself gratitude for this body, for this heart, for the person that is you, and perhaps expanding that gratitude or heartfulness to our mindful community and our loved ones. And if it feels right, even past that, our neighborhoods, the world. And we're coming to the end of this practice. Welcome again. We hope you enjoy the rest of our evening together.
Thank you, Dorley. So if you want to know the difference a teacher can make in someone's life, look no further than our performer for the evening, Rebecca Reale, whose mother, my aunt, a music teacher, put a mini violin in her hands at 2 years old and had her playing for the family every Thanksgiving ever since. After graduating from prestigious Rice University, Rebecca was selected as a New World Symphony Fellow for their 2015-16 season, where she won the concerto competition and performed Mozart's Violin Concerto No. 5 in A major with the orchestra in a subscription concert. She was quickly picked up by the Houston Symphony as the associate principal second violin, and within a short year later, she joined the first violin section of the Los Angeles Philharmonic in 2017 at the invitation of Gustavo Dudamel. Rebecca has too much grace and humility to admit this, but she is truly a rising star in her field, and we are grateful that she is here to share her beautiful talent with us this evening. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. So I don't know if you guys have a program or something like that, but I will start by playing the first movement of Bach solo partita for solo violin. And this is the first movement of the third partita in E major.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was beautiful. Hi, my name is Renee Lopez-Cantera, and I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Ashwin Mehta. It's actually a personal honor because back in 2013, Dr. Ashwin Mehta, with his wonderful bedside manner, had encouraged me to meditate personally. Dr. Ashwin Mehta is our speaker today for healthcare. He's the medical director of integrative medicine at Memorial Healthcare System and has trained as a fellow in the program of integrative medicine at the University of Arizona and is a board certified internal medicine and sleep doctor. His expertise includes nutrition, exercise, sleep, yoga, and mindfulness to achieve wellness in the context of coping with chronic medical conditions. Dr. Mehta's research interests include the use of preventative medicine and positive health behaviors to improve quality of life. The integrative medicine team at Memorial works closely with the Physician Wellness Committee and provides consultations to improve the overall health of our workforce. Dr. Mehta envisions integrative medicine as a driving force towards a new paradigm of quality healthcare with an emphasis on patient engagement, satisfaction, and experience. Welcome, Dr. Mehta.
Thank you so much, Renee, for your very kind introduction. And thank you, everybody, for participating in this wonderful event. Special thanks to Rebecca for that just inspiring and breathtaking performance that we all just heard. I've never longed for better speakers on my work computer, but you sounded fantastic. So thank you for that. It's been a great honor to be part of the Mindful Kids Miami organization over the last, I guess, between 5 and 7 years now. And it is out of all my meetings, you know, during the weeks and months of these virtual meetings, it is still my favorite meeting to be a part of. And it's just been such an honor to work together with like-minded individuals to bring about really meaningful change. And my background is in internal medicine and sleep, and as medical director for integrative health here at Memorial Healthcare System, we were charged with really figuring out how to bring greater resilience and wellness to our frontline workers, our physicians, our nurses, our social workers, physical therapists, occupational therapists, all of the individuals who have been really adapting to profound change and even chaos in the context of this pandemic. And so we really sought to infuse mindfulness into our daily routines so that it's not something sort of extraneous that people have to go access, but really encouraging nurse leaders to begin their morning rounds with a mindful moment, to encourage virtual meetings like this to begin with a moment of silence and mindfulness practices, even reading an inspirational quote. So the goal has been to kind of weave the fabric of wellness and resilience into our day-to-day practices at health in our healthcare system, and thereby really heal the healers, and make sure that everybody has a safe harbor in which to share all the challenges that we are all facing together. You know, it's been a wonderful experience because recently we have received the results of a survey and that measures employee engagement, and the results have been so favorable and heartwarming. So we really have been impacted very positively by the power of mindfulness. We've seen people coming together in extraordinary circumstances, really sharing authentically and sincerely about the challenges that we are all facing, and doing so in a way that vulnerability and open communication has really fostered a culture of collaboration, cooperation, and togetherness within our health system. So I'm so fortunate to I'm grateful to all my teachers, and so happy to be part of the Mindful Kids Miami organization. And another interesting thing that we've seen is a greater degree of compassion and empathy, and that's another wonderful welcome side effect of sustained mindfulness practices, especially if we start our days with a moment of intention and mindfully communicating with both our team members at work, both boots on the ground, as well as communication with our patients. Our goal eventually is to build an infrastructure of mindfulness within Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, which is the premier pediatric hospital here in Broward County, and an aspiration that I've held for quite some time. And I'm hopeful that our efforts tonight and collectively will bring about greater meaningful change within our community, both in Miami-Dade and Broward, for greater compassion, greater empathy, greater communication, and just greater wellness and resilience for our children who are the future. So thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for your support, and I really look forward to spending the rest of this evening with you all.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. So last year, we provided mindfulness programming to over 2,700 individuals, 2,200 of whom were educators. Over 600 individuals participated in our signature training programs, and over half of them were educators from Miami-Dade Public Schools. Here to share the experience of mindfulness from an educator's perspective is Mary Jones. Mary teaches at Mandarin Lakes K-8 Academy. She has been trained to bring mindfulness into the classroom through our own Mindful Teacher training program, and is in the process of becoming a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher through the Center for Mindfulness at the University of California in San Diego. Thank you so much for joining us, Mary.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And Sandy, thank you for that beautiful intro. Rebecca, I cannot say enough how inspiring your music and your talent. And first of all, just to say, it's amazing how teachers are the hope of the future. And before that teacher is that parent. And Rebecca, you've been so fortunate and blessed to not only have a teacher, but a parent who really instilled in you the qualities of what you have brought and that you're sharing with us. So thank you so very much for that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Bach. It was truly inspiring. And I am so honored and so privileged to be here tonight with you guys, sharing my 30 years of experience as a Miami-Dade County public school teacher. And I know I don't look over 35, but you know, you can hold the applause for later. I guess it's in the genes. But Mindful Kids Miami has been instrumental on my journey, not only as becoming a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, but really instilling in me what mindfulness is all about. And the beauty of that is that I'm able to share it daily with 350 students. And not only with those students, even though I see them back to back to back to back, but they have been so craving and loving and understanding the power of just being in the moment, being still, and giving them another tool in their toolbox to handle life stressors. And if we, the beauty is that these students are learning this at such a young age. And I'm a physical education teacher, so I deal with the physical part. And at times we forget that it is so more than the physical. And we go and we tap in daily to that emotional part of them. And they are able to deal with life stressors in a different way. And had it not been for Mindful Kids Miami, I wouldn't be sitting here before you today. And had it not been for a coach of mine who also taught me, hey, I want you to sit here and I want you to envision yourself before your game to see how you're going to experience that. And I never knew that that piece was a part of mindfulness. And so I crave that. And I'm so very fortunate for it to come full circle, because I didn't know what it was then, but I know what it is now. And I know how it's impacted my life. And so at this point in time, as I can state, and you guys probably are well aware also, our kids are starving for something better, something greater. And it's all about the heart, and it's all about compassion, as Dr. Ashwin had stated, and also just loving themselves. Because at this time, we can't love each other if we don't really see that within ourselves. So I am so honored and blessed to be here tonight to share and to continue to see that journey of students growing and becoming mindfulness teachers, and as well as sharing that love and compassion that they have for themselves. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mary, for all the work that you do. So it is now my honor and privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, David Lawrence Jr., former publisher of the Miami Herald, with an award-winning 35-year career in journalism. You can't do any work in this town on children's issues without hearing his name. He's a lifelong, relentless advocate for children. He's the founding chair of the Early Learning Coalition of Miami-Dade and Monroe. He chairs the Children's Movement of Florida, served on the governor's Children and Youth Cabinet, and twice chaired the Florida Partnership for School Readiness. He twice led successful campaigns for the Children's Trust and has chaired statewide panels on child protection. In 2002, he was a key figure in passing a statewide constitutional amendment to provide pre-K for all 4-year-olds. The David Lawrence Jr. K through 8 public school was established in 2006, and among numerous other appointments and awards, he also has 13 honorary doctorates. David is the author of A Dedicated Life, Journalism, Justice, and a Chance for Every Child, that has been reviewed by Gloria Stefan, Alonzo Mourning, and Donna Shalala, among others. I personally rated it 5 stars. Of all the many nice things that I can say about Dave, however, I have been most impressed by his ability to connect with people and connect people to each other for the benefit of our children. Thank you so much for joining us and for supporting our work, Dave.
So I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. I always fear a really nice introduction which you did, because I can't possibly live up to this. So here's where I come from on this subject. I grew up in a very different way. I was born during the first several months of World War II. I grew up on a farm in way upstate New York on the heel of Lake Ontario. I'm one of 9 children in an Irish Roman Catholic family. I had sort of a Confucian upbringing, which is to say, you got a problem in this house, just fix it. I don't want any complaints, etc. I was for 35 years at 7 newspapers, a skeptic, but not a cynic. And there's a big difference. So I'm not a natural on this subject. I never even heard of this until I sat down at a benefit for some other cause across the table from somebody in 2010 who wanted me to understand mindfulness. I subsequently ended up going to a presentation by the Congressman Tim Ryan from Ohio on that same subject. I went on a walk, El Camino de Santiago, which some of you are aware, and I was with one of the people, Constance Fernandez. She knew about it and wanted to talk about it. I had a dinner conversation one night in a farmhouse in northern Spain with a woman named Carolina Saravia, who was a mindfulness teacher in Bogota, Colombia. I went to an all-day retreat with my wife on the subject of mindfulness, and I listened to John Cabot's Zen talk, and so I've been inundated with mindfulness. I read about mindfulness in the Defense Department, the law school at UM, football coaches who are using it, so you got a convert here. Now, I don't think there's been a time in my life when mindfulness has been more important. Never a time when we needed more thoughtfulness and grace and peace with kindness and civility more than now. I read a lot, 1, 2, or 3 books a week, mostly history and biographies. I am, to be straightforward, do not interpret this as political, more worried about our republic than I ever have been. I think it is far more at risk than ever, and I don't think this country is guaranteed. We are now being divided into tribes of some sort. We don't know how to talk with one another. I think mindfulness could help us in all of that. I believe to the core of my soul that in this country of 330 million people, it's only going to work if we find ways to include everyone, make it work for everyone. And I read a lot of history, and I know all the bad things that have happened. There are lots of them about slavery and the Chinese Immigration Act of 1882, Exclusion Act of 1882. I know about the perfectly awful 1924 Immigration Act. I know about the Red Scares in this country. I know about internment of people. I know what we have done wrong in other countries. Yet the beauty of this country, it seems to me, is that we've had a moral core. We've wanted to be a good people. Dr. King talked about the long arc of history bending toward justice. If we lose the moral core of this country, we don't have much, unless you count we got more guns than anybody else, or more billionaires than anyone else. But that doesn't seem to me the most important thing about this country. We've generally had presidents of the United States who have known what to do, what to say after 9/11, after Charleston, Ronald Reagan talking about the shining city on the hill and lots of other things. We lose that soul, that heart, we're in trouble. So at our very best, we're a kind country, a mindful country, a loving country. And as you know, and you heard from Sandy, my work has focused these last 2 decades on helping children get ready for school and for life. We're in difficult times. I've never seen anything like these times, nor have you. I haven't been to the office since March 6th, so I have found plenty to do at home that is office-related work. I think these times are particularly difficult for children. I think children need to run around. They need to be with other children. They need to hug other children. They need to learn how to play and so forth. And I believe, again, to my very soul, that mindfulness has a very special place in the lives and futures of children and is deeply part of meaningful education. I hear frequently the words being present. And I think that really seeing children, connecting with what they're going through, having the right understanding about what they need in the moment, and responding from a helpful place rather than reacting by projecting yours and my fears and insecurities. I think the awareness that comes from practicing mindfulness as adults is extremely positive in every aspect of children's health and well-being. If it were up to me, I would have mindfulness as a part of the curriculum in every single one of the 350 public schools. I would start from a very young age. Extraordinary what children know at ages 3 and 4 and 5. So many children lack the mindfulness that they need. So I'm a latecomer. You all know lots more than I do, but I think you are literally doing God's work, and I salute you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So I've always told it's kind of hard to come after you. And
Not tonight.
Not, but even tonight, I actually wanted, because I am French, I wanted to talk about the wine and the cheese, and we have 400 cheeses in France and so many more thousands of wines. And Sandy said, no, you come after David, and then we let Erwin talk about the wine. So I won't talk about the wine today, but maybe next time. So I wanted to thank you, though, David, for your just such a kind words. No, I wanted to thank you as well for being here tonight, and I want to thank our sponsors. I mean, as you said, David, it's having this actually practice included in all the schools. It's almost the wish would be including mindfulness like you brush your teeth in the morning. We actually now, no one discusses that sports is healthy. We know that actually walking and taking care of the body is actually beneficial for our lives. And my wish is that we can bring the same normality, if you want, to mindfulness, basically training and developing the mind and developing the ability to be present in what we have. So I wanted to thank you for participating tonight, and as well, Rebecca and MJ and Ashwin. I want to thank our sponsors, without whom this is not possible. So before I actually tell a few words about us, I remind you that donating, you have Mindful 202-858-1233. We're not for profit. Non-for-profit these days are, challenging times, and whatever we raise allows us to do classes for basically free or almost free in the public school system. So it's really, I call on your generosity for helping us. So 202-858-1233. It's on the back of my screen. You should see it. I'm supposed to be very brief, so I've already taken 1 minute. Promise I won't do more than 2 more minutes. So I just wanted to, to share a few things. I've been involved in mindfulness. I'm actually a later comer than you, David. I actually discovered mindfulness in 2014 when I moved to the US. At a time of my life, that was a real change. And I went into a class and then into another. And then I got more involved with this organization to eventually become, the president of the board. And I have to say, like Ashwin, this is my favorite activity because it involves working with kids and involves working with people who work with children. And I understand the benefits it brings. I could tell you about the study we just published. I want to thank UM and David Leaf is on the phone. We actually did a study with UM and University of Massachusetts as well, evaluating the impact of our courses. Really simple. It's actually been published for the first time. I actually have a published research, was kind of new in my experience. But if I were to summarize the findings, it's basically statistically significant changes for the Miami-Dade County Public School employees that took the courses. And the changes are the following. There's a drastic reduction of stress, anxiety, depression, emotional fatigue, burnout, sleep disturbance, and reactivity to events. That's what goes down. What went up is a sense of self-connection, a sense of compassion, and a sense of connection to others. As MJ said, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And as a lot of the religious doctrines say, and also with quantum physics, we were all connected. That connection to others is what makes it possible to survive in a world where on our own, we basically would disappear. So I won't get into politics tonight, but what you were saying, David, about that need to connection, the need to be able to talk with all of us, whether we agree or don't agree on all the different subjects, is really important. And that sense of connection gets developed with mindfulness because you are able to realize that what triggers you can also trigger others, and therefore there's a lot of compassion that sets in. And the published research really shows that, and that's really great. The other reason I can tell you about it, because I now teach the mindfulness-based stress reduction class, and we're now teaching early learning child care center staff. We've had a grant from the Children's Trust, and I was teaching a school that actually, or the staff of a center that specializes in children with disabilities, and one that specializes with children of migrant workers and agricultural workers. And we finished a series last week, and they were saying, I can finally sleep. I can sleep again. I can, when I'm going crazy in my head and my head is looping, I can spot that and I can actually manage that. And others said, I have chronic pain that used to be an absolute terror, it used to ruin my life. And now I realize that the pain is okay. And the story I tell myself about the pain is a lot worse than it really is. And I've been able to manage my pain. And I can tell you that the teachers and the child care workers that told me that when they are with the children, that ability to deal with their stress, to sleep, to deal with their pain, and to deal with their mind going crazy, obviously makes them better to work with the children because suddenly they're actually more present. And all the classes and the instructors on the call or on our event tonight will vouch to that. It is a transformative practice. And so, as you said, David, I came this late, but I want to make it the sort of a mission in the second half of my life to help bring this to children and to the people that serve the children, because at the end of the day, not only does it help the children, but it helps their spouses, their own children if they have some, their colleagues, their workers, their own parents if they have them, and it really helps the whole world around them. So I wanted to thank you. I will say again, donate 202-858-1233. And maybe next time I'll actually do the wine and the cheese. So thank you all for tonight. And I also now wish to actually reintroduce Rebecca Reale. And Rebecca, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It is just fantastic to listen to you. So again, thank you. Thank you for your help and your support. And Rebecca, you're on.
Thank you. So this is my first time being introduced to, I knew that Sandy had switched careers and is recently joined Mindful Kids Miami, and I think it's amazing what you guys are all doing, and I'm so happy to contribute to this virtual gathering. So thank you so much for having me. I think music has been my mindfulness all my life, so it's definitely a feeling of calmness, and for the most part, sometimes stressful, but for the most part, it really grounds me and helps me feel centered and focused and just, yeah. But okay, so this piece is called Meditation, and it's a transcription from an opera by Massenet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was so beautiful, breathtaking. We all sure enjoyed that, especially because we're not going to the live concert hall these days. Encore, wonderful. So now I have the honor of introducing to you someone who really helped our event come together. It's now time for our guided wine tasting. So Irvin Machado is the sommelier, and I'm just going to give an introduction about him. So Irvin Machado is the CEO of Prosecco Zero. So as I'm making the introduction, those of you who have the gift bags, please take them out. You have 2 different wines and he'll be going over them. He is the CEO of Prosecco Zero and beverage director for Big Time Restaurant Group. He's a certified sommelier with the Court of the Masters and holds a certified certification from WSET, an advanced Portuguese specialist certification, a Banff University certification, and the rank of Cavalier. See, Olivier, I need some help with the pronunciation here, and the Wine Academy. Irvin speaks Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and English, and is passionate about educating others about wine. So I'm going to turn it over to Irvin, but I just wanted to also thank his sister, Martha Valdez-Fowley, who is our sponsor from Mellon Bank, for introducing Irvin to our group. Thank you so much, everybody.
Hey, everybody. First of all, Renee, what an incredible introduction. That's so nice of you. I do also want to point out, Olivier, I see that you want to take my wine sommelier gig. Maybe next time, but tonight is our night with me. Like Renee mentioned, my name is Irvin Machado. I am a CEO for Prosecco Zero. I am the owner of this incredible wine. But before this, I am a sommelier. And to become a sommelier, it's one of the hardest careers in the world. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And that, I have to say, it's what brings me here today, because that is my mindful moment, to be able to memorize soil composition, different climate conditions, different soils. They have a different limestone. They could have different molecules. They could have different minerals. All of these knowledge to make it have a sense of place into a wine glass is very difficult. So I've never had to concentrate so hard in my life like I did when I had to start and be part of the Court of Masters sommeliers. So today we are going to be tasting 2 wines. One of them is my Prosecco, which I will also have you know that you're the first people in Miami to taste it. This wine is not even out yet. I wanted to do the launch in a meaningful way. And I found that Mindful Kids Miami was the best way to launch my wine. I am Miami born. I didn't live here all my life, but I am very much part of this community. So I wanted to launch my wine with you guys. So I generally hope that the response is as incredible as I hope. But you are the first ones to taste it. So my wine is a Prosecco. So it comes from the northeast part of Italy. This area, it's very conflicted because over the years, it used to be part of Austria, then it became Italian again, and back and forward. That's why this wine is so unique, because it's where a lot of different cultures came together, unite to create something. Very much like I feel United States is as a country. And I think that, not touching into politics, but I think that that's what makes us so unique. This wine has to come from this area. If it does not come from this area, it cannot be called Prosecco. Prosecco needs to come from Conegliano, Valdobbiadene, Rive, Cartizze. If it doesn't come from this area, it cannot be called Prosecco. The other uniqueness about this wine is that it's made with one grape that only grows here. This grape is called Glera, and it doesn't grow anywhere else in the world but this one area. So our Prosecco is usually a faulty wine by nature because of the method that you need to make Prosecco, it's a faulty wine because you need to harvest very early. So then you can add sugar, and you add sugar because you're covering all this faultiness. And because of that, it has a secondary fermentation. That's why the wine has bubbles. The unique thing that we did is I chose to make a wine with 0 added sugar. This is a lot more difficult. This is easier said than done. To make a wine with bubbles without sugar is nearly impossible. What we were able to do was we froze and hydrolyzed, reused the CO2 from the first fermentation. We did then a reverse osmosis with the available sugars. Then we froze those, we filtered that out, and we make our Prosecco to have a sense of place, because for the first time you can taste Prosecco and taste the unique terroir of my vineyard, but also it doesn't have any added sugar. So if you think of a glass of Prosecco, a bottle of Prosecco has about 20 grams of sugar per liter. This is a lot of sugar. For me, this was unacceptable. I needed to make a Prosecco with 0 added sugar. And this is what you have in front of you. I always recommend my wine to be enjoyed in a wine glass, not a champagne flute. The reason why is because the aromatics of my wines are very pronounced. I'm sure all of you have tasted wine before, but I want you tonight to do something for me. I want you to grab the glass and I want you to smell on your right nostril and then your left nostril. The reason why you do that is because there are 2 glands on your back of your nose called olfactory epithelium. And the sensitivity of these 2 glands changes every 4 hours. So one of your nostrils, it's more acute than the other. This is what we know as primary aromas. So I want you to smell on 1, 2. You're gonna notice that one of them is more pronounced, and I want you to explore those aromas. Now pick the fruits that you're smelling. I get a lot of usually pears, yellow apples. I have a very nice aromatic. On this incredible cheese board that they send, they put that violet spring. It really reminded me a little bit of my Prosecco because Glera is a very aromatic grape. We call it turpinic because it has aromas of lychees, tropical pineapple, and all these tropical fruits. So a lot of green apple for sure. Somebody comments, and that nice aromatic, right? Like a little bit of fresh cut basil, maybe a little bit of rosemary, but it has a little bit of aromatic. Go ahead and please taste it with me. Salute. I hope you enjoy it, please. You're gonna notice that the bubbles of my wine are a lot more constant and they're a lot more small than usual Prosecco. They're more similar to something like champagne. And this is part of the process that we did. With the cheese tray that they gave you, I suggest you enjoy my Prosecco with the brie. I really like how the acidity of my Prosecco cuts perfectly through the fatness of the brie, and it makes a really nice captivating flavor, a combination of flavors. If anybody has a question, please feel free to ask me. Renee would unmute herself and ask me the questions, because I really want you guys to take this moment to ask any of those questions you ever had for a sommelier. I am really here to serve you.
I just want to point out that anyone can just unmute themselves, and I hope everyone's enjoying.
Yes, I really am, because to be honest with you, to make a Miami-based Prosecco has been the most amazing thing I've ever done. And I'm so proud to be sharing this with you tonight. For me, following an incredible violin player, listening to your thoughts on government, listening to your thoughts on our society today, it's really my honor to be here. And really, I mean, you guys are absolutely incredible. I'm very proud to be part of this selected few. And you're absolutely right. I agree with you. What we need today is more mindfulness, more caringness, really asking instead of how are you doing, are you happy? When was the last time that was asked? You know, it's really important. Anyways, the second wine we have is a
Irvin,
red wine.
Irvin, I wanted to make, this is Olivier speaking. You know, I am French, as I said, and one of the things we teach about in mindfulness is conditioning, culture, perception, how we bring those without even being aware of the conditioning that we receive as children. And of course, being French, I always say, listen, I won't drink Prosecco, I won't drink Cava, champagne. It's got to be the only thing that's out there that's worthwhile drinking. I have to say, this is absolutely delicious. It is as good as many of the champagnes I've had. And as you were saying, that little bubble, the fact that it's not too sweet, and it's not Chardonnay, so it makes a difference. It's just absolutely delicious. I am so grateful for having had the opportunity to discover Prosecco on Prosecco. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
I have
There's
a question.
another question here, Irving.
Sure.
I have a question as well. Oh, your wine, your Prosecco is transcendent. Now that I've had the ability to taste it for a moment and I'm going to savor this entire bottle, so I'm going to be a little piggy this evening about it, where would I go about purchasing a case and a consistent, how do I consistently get access to your wonderful Prosecco Zero?
You're so sweet, Darren. This is fantastic news. At the moment, thank God, I've been so successful as a new entrepreneur and as a new company. I had to pick what restaurants to have my Prosecco because I'm actually running out of wine. But you're going to see that in the welcome card, I put a curator in the back. And this is a website that I'm going to launch in about November 20. In this website, you can order my Prosecco at home. So all you need to do is grab your mobile phone and in the camera, just focus on this cue reader in the back and it's gonna launch you to our website. It's called Prosecco Zero and you can order online, very much like Amazon, and it will be in your house within 2 days. So in November 20, around end of November, you're going to be able to enjoy Prosecco Zero also with the new label, which is absolutely incredible, and you can enjoy this at home at any time.
So I would prefer if I could get access to more now. However, I do believe life's about two things, creating beautiful memories and having something wonderful to look forward to. So I guess I'm really looking forward to November 20th.
Well, part of the mindfulness that we're talking about tonight is restraint, Adam. Very important. So, until we can get it in November, you will cheers with me, I promise you. You give me a call,
I'm so glad.
again. Thank you so much for your response, everybody. Any more questions, Renee, please stop me. I love interacting with people, so I really, stop me. I love it.
I have a question. Hi, how are you? Can you hear me? My name is Jennifer. It's delicious. I came in a little late. I'm wondering why Prosecco Zero? How did you come up with the name?
Well, Prosecco Zero came because what we were able to accomplish really it's unprecedented in the Prosecco industry, because part of the process of making Prosecco, part of the recipe, if you may, is to add sugar. So the reason why I came with this name is because I was making wine 2 years ago. I was in this area of Italy because I didn't like Prosecco. So I'm making Prosecco and I have all these questions and I say, why are you doing this? Why are you picking so early? It's not ready. The grape is not ready. Leave it there. No. This is a recipe. Okay. So they pick early. I say, why are you picking early? So then you have to add sugar. It just made no sense to me. So I said, I don't like Prosecco. If I ever make a Prosecco, I will make it with 0 added sugar. And for me, this was extremely important. So once I start studying winemaking at UC Davis, I start studying biochemistry. I start to understand that there were ways of hydrolyzing, there was ways of ionizing, there was ways of affecting these molecules. So 0 is because 2 reasons. A, because it has 0 added sugar. And the secondary is because there was 0 hope that this will work. And I'm not only extremely happy that it did, but that you're tasting it with me tonight and that we're from Miami. We're a Miami company. I mean, I have a thick accent because I spent a lot of time also in Italy, but I'm from Miami. And so for me, this is important. So you think about bubbles, right? Sun, no sugar, fitness. This is my dream come true.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions before I go into the red wine?
One more question. How do we relocate to live on your vineyard in Italy?
Well, I'm actually looking for, actually the best question I've ever been asked. I don't know. I don't know. You have to either be a good winemaker or you have to like harvesting grapes. But you know what I'm gonna do? If Renee is okay with this, we maybe can do another event where you can taste my wines and we can raffle maybe a visit to my vineyard where you go to Italy with me and we walk the vineyard and we walk the area. Treviso is one of the most important areas in the world because it used to be Austrian, then it became Italian, and back and forward after World War I, it used to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So you have an incredible cornucopia of cultures where most of the people in Alto Adige, for instance, where Santa Margherita, Pinot Grigio comes from, most of these people speak Austrian. They don't speak Italian. Well, they're part of Italy.
Emilio, I have a question. I in the last few years had visited Bolzano. Is that in the same area as well?
Which area, sorry?
Bolzano.
Bolzano. I'm not sure what this area is.
It's in northern Italy, also in the Austrian, the area.
Yes, so this area, it's called Tre Venezie because it is the meeting of three Venices, right? So this is a very important area for Italy because it was the last stronghold before any Persian Empire could reach Rome. So it's a very heavily military protected area. The reason why I'm saying this is because it's called the Tre Venezie, where Venice is from. So you have Venezia, Bolzano, I'm sure it's probably by the Friuli area.
It is.
And it is? Yeah, it's probably by the Friuli area. Collio Sionesi, Collio Montalbano, you have all these areas in these areas, but there's so many little towns. But yeah, I mean, our vineyards, if you're in the Friuli area, you're probably 1 hour away. Not even, maybe less.
Thank you.
G, of course. Any more questions? All right, so ready for the red wine. I have to say also, the violin player, it was absolutely outstanding. I just wanted to give her my compliments. I've never, actually, I love music, of course, but this was absolutely breathtaking. Anyways, the red wine, it's Pinot Noir. So let me tell you about Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is one of the most interesting grapes in the world. The reason why is because it's a masochist. It loves high altitude, but it's susceptible to freeze. It loves cold climate, but it's susceptible to powdery mildew. So everything Pinot Noir likes, cannot have. Very much like me. It's also a grape varietal that it has no blue pigments in the skin. So when you look at Pinot Noir, it's actually tawny in the color. It's not red. And it's because there's no blue pigments in the DNA of Pinot Noir. It is because it's the most difficult grape to make. There's several clones that you can make Pinot Noir out of. Some of the most important come from France, like the Dijon clone. What many people don't know, however, is that it was America who saved the wine industry. In the 80s, there was a little insect called Phylloxera that completely destroyed European vineyards. There was no way of making wine. It actually went from France to Portugal, to Spain, to all of Europe. The only solution was to craft European wines or grapes or vines into American rootstock. So the United States saved the wine industry because the United States vine, the rootstock of it, was resistant to this insect that otherwise would have annihilated the wine industry. That's why today you have Pinot Noir in towns like, or counties like California, and they're called Dijon, Pomar, All these are clones from Europe, but they came to the United States because they needed American rootstock so this insect wouldn't destroy them. So this one comes from one of my favorite vineyards. It's called Talbot, and it's come from the Monterey area. The Monterey area is very important because it comes from the Sonoma coast, who used to be underwater 400 million years ago. So what happened is a very big earthquake happened and erased this area. So it used to be effectively water. So a lot of the influence of this wine is a very salinity, maritime environment. That's why in this vineyard, you find a lot of salt, a lot of sand, and this is because it used to be underwater. Pinot Noir, like I said, it is one of the most difficult grapes to make. Even me studying winemaking, I would say my respect to this vineyard in Talbot. I think they do a fantastic job. And it usually has red fruit aromatics. The reason why it has red fruit aromatics is basically because it comes from a cold climate. So every time you smell a wine, if it smells like red fruits, like strawberries, cherries, raspberries, it comes from a cold climate. If you have black fruit, plums, currants, blueberries, it comes from a Mediterranean or warm climate. This is very important. So every time you're trying to impress your friends, smell a wine and say, black fruit, Mediterranean climate. Red fruit, cold climate. Very important. So cold climate wines usually have better acidity, which is better for wine pairings, for food pairings. So if you're eating anything, you need acidity. That's why we put lemon on salmon. You put lemon on salmon not because you like the flavor of lemon. It is because the flavor of lemon, the acidity, gives you freshness. So acidity for food pairings, and then you have the big Cabernet Sauvignons for steak because they're peppery. So pepper, it's good with steaks. All right, on the aroma, I get a lot of red apples. I get a lot of cherries, strawberries. I get also a little bit of aromatics, a little bit of maybe rose petals. I get a little bit of oak, maybe a little bit of used oak. I don't think it's taking over the wine. I think it's very mildly used. So maybe 30% new oak that I think that the wine has, because there's a little baking spice, a little bit of vanilla. This is a phenolic compound that comes from oak. Maybe if there's somebody from the Talbot vineyard, they can attest to it. But from the smell, I can smell about 30%, 20% new oak. Let's go ahead and taste, see what you guys think. I want to say this is definitely a clone called Dijon. This is probably, and again, I'm not the winemaker there, so I don't know exactly. But I think this is Dijon clone, probably something like 777, because it has a very sharp acidity to it. I'm also picking the oak, so I'm going to double down on oak. It definitely has about 30% new oak. I'm getting a lot of that vanilla complexity to it. I think it also has a lot of long finish. And this, with the Fontina cheese, will be fantastic. What do you guys think? Any questions for me? Maybe, hopefully.
I have a question. I'm completely a novice to wine tasting, but is there a taste of like a peppery or a type of spice? And if so, where does that come from?
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Dorley. Yeah, Dorley.
We're all novices. To be honest with you, in wine tasting, it's just some people hide it better, I think. But the more I read, the more I don't know. And the peppery, you very well spotted. That comes from oak. That's actually why I said it has about 20 or 30% new oak. That is because pepper, black pepper, white pepper, turmeric, cardamom, vanilla. These are all attributes of oak. And I think it's French oak, more important, not American oak, because I get that vanilla in the aroma. If I smell the wine and I get coconuts or dill, maybe, it's American oak. This is not American. This is French oak. But very well spotted. It does have a little bit of white pepper, maybe a little bit of turmeric flavors to it, and that is because of the oak. It doesn't come from the grape. Great question, Dory.
Irvin, I have a question. Well, first of all, I'm very thankful to everybody involved, but just wanted to point out Lillian from Lillian's Table, who put these beautiful cheese trays together.
Oh my God.
What?
He's the best.
And I'm actually here listening now. I'm watching while I'm cooking my regular meals, and this has been phenomenal. Such a mindful event while I'm in the kitchen. I'm so
Lilia,
thankful.
first of all, I have to say I'm a little bit upset at you because one, you don't have your camera on. B, because
I can do it if you want, but it's gonna be
here.
I'm in full gear.
That's okay, we're waiting. But my question, and I'm sure Lillian will say, is why the Fontana cheese? Like, how do you decide which cheeses go with which wine? And Lillian, we're happy to see you cooking.
Yeah, Lily, don't be shy. I have to say, because I tried the cheese, and I have to say, look at you, incredible. Well, thank you so much at Lillian's table, because I have to say that this cheese tray, I know you all agree, it's been fantastic, and it was so beautifully put together. So thank you so much, Lillian. I hope we can do much more events together. I want to say that the Fontina cheese has a very particular earthiness to it. And this earthiness is very subtle for something like red wine, but more importantly, a delicate red wine. I wouldn't like it so much with something like a Cabernet Sauvignon. I think this earthiness complements Pinot Noir very well. And that's the reason why I picked that. The reason why I picked the Brie cheese for my wine is because my wine has a lot more acidity. So I like acidity to cut through the fat of the cheese. And I think that makes a very big complement. There's two ways of pairing wine with food. One, it should complement, right? So when you think about a steak, what's the first thing you do to a steak? You put salt and pepper, right? So what do you want your wine to have? Pepper. So that's why steaks go incredibly with Cabernet Sauvignon. But you want two things, either complement like that or stay away from it. So when you have something creamy like a Brie cheese, you want something acidic. They can cut through this fat and really allow both tastes to come alive. Not only the freshness of the wine, but also the Brie cheese.
Beautiful. Lillian, I know you're cooking, but I think Doralee typed in the chat. Lillian, can you tell us about the cheese tray? So I know there were 3 cheeses on the tray, and some people had gorgonzola or blue cheese. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? And then maybe Irvin can explain and you know, we're supposed to end in just about 3 to 5 minutes, but we want to make sure everyone has their questions answered and we can enjoy drinking before we close.
So just briefly, it was a gorgonzola, and yes, some people did have a Danish blue. There was the Danish Fontina, and then the Brie, of course, and then the jam or marmalade sauce that came with it was a plum, grape, had cinnamon, a touch of ginger, and kind of allspice in there as well.
I mean, this is incredible. If I didn't love my wine so much, I would say that your cheese tray is better than my wine, Lily. But
I have to say, I did try the Zero Prosecco, and I loved it. I love the fact that it has no sugar. I think I'll be ordering some from you.
Urban, it's the mix of the wine and the cheese that makes the beauty. It's the complement of wine and cheese, you know, that coming together that really makes such a beauty. I did have a question for you, Urban. Is it true that in California, if you have a Pinot Grigio, you can actually have something else in it? Whereas in Europe or in France, if you have a Pinot Grigio, it's a 100% Pinot Grigio.
That's a really good question. Unfortunately, Olivier, because I know you're after my job, I want nothing but to say yes or no questions to you. Just to prove the point that I'm really good, I promise.
I'm having such a good time, Urban. It's just fantastic.
But, unfortunately, there's so many laws in wine. I'm not gonna bore you with this, but by law, it has to have, if it says on the label Pinot Grigio, excuse me, if it says on the label Pinot Grigio, in the United States, has to have at least 85% Pinot Grigio. The rest could be something else.
Yeah. In
Italy, if it says Pinot Grigio, it's also 85%. Now, the difference is that in Italy, because there's so many laws and regulation to the area, like a DOCG, for instance, this is a preservation of a recipe. So when you have something like a Brunello di Montalcino, has to be 100% Sangiovese.
Okay.
But it's so skewed because it depends on the area, depends on the town. I wish I could tell you yes or no, but the answer loosely is that it has to have a minimum of 85%.
So that was a yes. It's basically can be a blend. So yeah, no, I don't want your job, Irvin, but I do want to have an opportunity to sit down together and have a good glass together, because that's so much fun.
Only if I buy it, and
Mira,
only if it's Prosecco Zero.
Con Prosecco Zero, claro, y con otras cosas también.
Fantástico. Any more questions for me, guys? I'm really happy. You had me all night. Renee booked me until 9 p.m. So
I'd like, oh, go ahead.
No, Dorley, please, you first.
Oh, Ashwin. Okay. Yes, my question is very important. And that is, Urban, when will you plan a mindful wine tasting trip to Italy for all of us? Thank you so much.
I have to put a lot of mind into it, to be honest with you. I have to put a lot of mindfulness into it. But I have to say, listen, my career as a sommelier has been the hardest, and I said this earlier, it's the hardest thing in the world. There's not a harder career. I mean, there's right now 341 master sommeliers in the world. This is a career that it's been alive for 60 years. The percentage of success rate is about 2% for you to become a master sommelier. So it's really, for all intents and purposes, impossible. And the reason why I was so captivated by this event, and I almost prayed to Ian, I said, please let me be part of it, because I've never done anything more mindful than to sit down and straight read 12, 14 hours. Mind you, while drinking wine. It's a lot more difficult than you think to stay concentrated if you're drinking wine. And you're like, but do I want to go to the bar or do I want to stay? And you're drinking and of course, staying concentrated. So this event for me was really important. So I guess to answer your question, Dory, I am always available for any mindful events. And my phone is always open to everybody in this chat room.
Can I ask you a question? Have you ever seen the movie Psalm?
Yes, of course.
And do you think it's realistic or is it overplayed?
No.
So Psalm is a documentary for others. It's a documentary on trying to become a sommelier and going through the tests and following, I think, 4 or 5 people. And it's awesome.
Yeah, so the sommelier, the Psalm movie is effectively a movie that it explains a little bit of my struggle and the reason why I was telling you how difficult it is. I have to say it's not played out at all, unfortunately. I wish I could tell you it's easier to be a som. My mom still doesn't quite understand what I do for a living. She tries to understand, why do they pay you to drink wine? And I said, it took a lot of reading for me to drink wine, unfortunately. But there's 2 people in that movie, Ian Coble and my friend Dylan Proctor, and they're both part of my tasting group. So it's people that I know, it's people that we taste together, it's people that I see in events and we taste wine. And another thing that we don't think about when we watch these movies is this was recorded about 7 years ago. So people like Dylan Proctor still haven't passed his test. And that's how difficult it is.
Wow.
Never mind the financial expense to drink, you know, it's the most expensive career. You have to drink the most expensive wines to know what they taste like. How do you pay that? I started my career cleaning tables at the Dolphin Mall. So I used to clean tables and then I would go to the books and read about wine every day.
I have a question.
I can't hear it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I actually had a question I've always been curious about. What are your thoughts on red blends? Like my favorite grape is actually the Pinot Noir. You talked a little bit about that, but I'm always hesitant to buy bottles that say red blends, and just want to get your thoughts on that.
They're gonna kill me if I answer this question. All my friends in California, but I have to say I prefer bottles who are not a blend. My favorite grape, it's Pinot Noir. Well, after Glera, of course, but Pinot Noir. I do like blends that are part of a culture. So something like Southern Rhone, like a Hermitage, like a Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Chateauneuf-du-Pape, it's called that way because that's where the Pope used to live before the Vatican. Chateauneuf-du-Pape means the castle of the Pope. So the Pope used to live across the Avignon River in the Southern Rhone, and then he moved to the Vatican because of a lady who convinced him, and anyway, she's a saint now. Or maybe wines like from the Rioja area, Tempranillo, Masuelo, Graciano, but they have a sense of place, and this to me is really important. When I drink The Prisoner or wines that have 7 grapes on it, I don't find the pleasure, to be honest. I think it's very alcoholic. I don't like the alcohol of it. There's a lot of sugar. It's just not my preference, at least. I respect what they do. I do, but.
Ashwin, I think you had a question earlier.
Oh, Irvin, thank you so much for being here and all your knowledge. Could you please repeat the Pinot paradox that you stated at the beginning of your presentation?
I want to see him, Rene. Can you put him, because
I'm here.
There you. Oh, hey, how are you, doctor? I want to say also I was listening to you earlier, and I'm very impressed with your knowledge. You're absolutely.
I appreciate that. Likewise, thank you.
I'm a little bit shy, so I didn't have my camera on, but I was taking notes on you. The Pinot Noir paradox, is I think the issue that we have ourselves as humans sometimes, right? It's very temperamental, and everything the Pinot Noir likes, it cannot have. It loves high altitudes, but it's susceptible to powdery mildew. This is a bacteria or a disease that happens in high altitudes, but Pinot Noir loves it, but he can't take it. He loves cold climates, but he gets cold very easily. So he's susceptible to freezes. So everything you need to make Pinot Noir, it cannot have. That's why I love it.
Thank you.
Anytime, doctor.
I just was gonna call on Ian Reese, Dr. Ian Reese. He is the one who helped pick out these amazing wines, especially the Talbots. And I don't know if he has any specific questions or commentary, because I know he has enjoyed them.
I am absolutely in heaven. I'm enjoying this so much, and especially the commentary by Irvin. It just makes everything come to life. And Lillian did a fantastic job. So I hope we continue till 9 o'clock tonight. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, and you're such a sweetheart. I have to say, for those who don't know Ian, he became my best friend in 5 minutes, I think. He's such a nice guy, incredible, smart. I mean, I owe it to him to be here tonight, because he selected the wines as a wine aficionado that he rightfully is, because his knowledge is incredible. I get paid to know this stuff, but Ian knows it. I'm not sure why still, but he does. So Ian, you and your beautiful wife, I just want to say, I love you. I love your event. I love everything you've done for us and what you currently do for our community. I promise you, I'm always going to be involved as well.
Thank you so much, Irvin. And Ian's the reason why you all ended up with two bottles of wine in your bag. So instead of just the one. What I want to do is, we're officially ending at 7:30. So I would like to say my thank yous and things like that to wrap it up. And if anybody needs to leave, they can, but I can leave the Zoom open if people still want to kind of linger after and talk, like you're in the, lobby, and we're kind of pushing you out of the hotel room while you're talking to each other, right? So first of all, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us. It really, it's challenging time for everybody. It's challenging to have these events, to try to convince people to, give money to come to another Zoom meeting. but you all have come forward and really shown us a lot of love and support. And for that, you have my utmost gratitude. And I also want to acknowledge that during the course of this event, we have gotten several more donations from people. And so I really want to just shout out to the Lausells, Paul and Yvonne, I love you. Thank you so much. Enrique Depremont and Melanie Elder, Mike and Val Ferguson, we have Andrew and Laura Reese donated some more money. Thank you so much. Kendra and John Malloy, big hearts to you. I had the pleasure of delivering bags to Kendra earlier and having a chance to talk with her. And it's just so nice to meet people in person that have been impacted by our programs. Olivier, Janice Greer, Jack and Patricia, Andrea Ivory, Ileana Klopfenstein. You all have made this night truly, truly special. And we really appreciate everything. So with that, I think I'm going to close the program officially and allow whoever wants to stick around and chat after the event. But thank you so much for being here. And you can unmute and talk.